a psychology teacher asked me this week in class, right? Well, not me. She asked it. She brought up a scenario to like test how people were thinking. All right. So I want to put the question to you and see what your response is. Right.
Bring it.
So you're in a plane headed to the U.S. Let's put it that way. You're heading to the no, you're headed to Russia, right? And somewhere along the flight, your plane crashes. You end up in the wilderness somewhere. You are the lone survivor, right? And you're on your last piece of food is a slice of cake, right? And you torches, you're now about to eat this cake, and you know it's the last piece of food, no other food left. And you think you hear a sound like a plane or something. So you run off to look for the plane, looking up in the sky and you can't see it, and then you realize, okay, the sound go and you can't find anything. And going back to find the cake, and the cake is overrun with ants. It overrun with ants, right? What would you do?
What would I do?
Yeah. It's not about to eat your last piece of cake.
Well, those ants, they will be part of the meal.
Protein.
They will be part of my meal.
I hear ants high in
Definitely will be
protein.
part of my meal.
You could
I'm
dust
gonna
off as much as you could, but you're eating
I
that cake.
just a tattoo shake and
Yeah.
oh my gosh. I don't know. It's cake. It's kind of delicate, so you can't really.
Slap it up.
But yeah, they'll be part of my meal.
Yo.
Survival for the fittest.
Listen, that was my answer in the
course.
question. So she went around asking everybody in the class, right? And people was like, they go kick away the cake in anger. People,
Anger.
yeah, like they'd be just so upset. Somebody was like, how they really like ants. So how they might cuss and hit away the cake or something. Somebody was like, how they might try to break up the cake in the part where the ants on and where the part where the and eat the part where the ants off. And I was like, listen, I
Protein.
eating all lemons. And then,
I eating all
and then
lemons.
after I was thinking about it after, I was like, no, I'd be worse. I know I would be like, okay, they have ants on this cake. These ants come from somewhere. So I might start. I'll pick while I have this cake with the ants. I would go and find where the ants nest is and be like, okay, my next meal, I have a whole
pack of
ants
ants.
nest. I have a whole ants nest.
Protein.
Plus,
Yeah.
these ants know the terrain.
True.
These ants know the terrain. These ants probably
them, yeah.
follow them. They might find other dead animals and think, boom, I get more food. And the
that's
people
genius, though.
people was like, how they not eating the cake? People not eating the cake, whatever. And it went into something called something that affects certain people, called the cognitive triad, right? Or the negative, Beck's cognitive triad. And it could be it's people kind of talk about it like negative views about the world, like their core belief is that they have negative views about the world, right? And that could lead to people having negative views about the future, and then that could lead to them having negative views about themselves, and it's kind of like spiral out. It's just kind of
All negative.
it just kind of rotate, and essentially any situation that they see, all they could see is like the negative version of it, and not be able to be like, we boy again like about 10-15 grams of protein. You might get a 10 grams. You might get 10 grams of protein from if it covered in ants,
Yeah.
right? But every problem has a solution. Every problem has a solution. So wherever a problem is here, they have a solution for it somewhere. It's just if you could figure it out. If you could figure it out. And the more positive you stay, the more likely you are to find a solution. And the more negative you fall, the more negative the mindset is that you fall into, the less likely it is for you to find the solution to the problem.